Hey guys and dolls, welcome back to my channel. Are you ready? Yes. Do you like my ears? This is going to be a conspiracy theory story, kind of Halloween style. So I hope you have a few minutes of your time to spend with me and my story of The Dark Crystal, the new series that's on Netflix, The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance Conspiracy Theory. I wanted to come up with something a little bit more creative and imaginative while being true to the Halloween season. So here it is. I hope you love it. If you do not know anything about Jim Henson or his productions, I'll try to jog your memory. Maybe you remember The Muppets, Sesame Street. Yes, Sesame Street, because Kermit the Frog was on Sesame Street. Any of you from that era, that time, or from the movie The Dark Crystal back, I believe, in the 80s, mid-80s. I don't remember that movie completely. Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance kind of brought it all back to me. I do have to watch the movie again, which is going to be my Halloween treat for myself. So I'm looking forward to watching it again. But the series is pretty much the exact mirror copy of the movie. They've just elongated it and made it into a series. So yes, if you really want to hear what I have to say or what my conspiracy theory is, please, again, spend a few moments with me. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and ring the bell because, you know, it's free. And yeah, hopefully if you just want to take a look at my costume, I thought I would be kind of, I don't know, in support of the series. I kind of have my little elfin, gelfling, Sepha look going on here. So this story is about the few, which are the Skeksis. The Skeksis are one of the main characters of the movie, which for me represent the Anunnaki that ruled invisibly once upon a time all of Earth. Okay, so the Gelfling races for me represent humanity, and this is the power struggle for the Gelfling races, humanity, to unite and regain their freedom from a tyrannical, all-encompassing evil force. And I think that that's what we're going through right now. Those of you who have seen my paranormal or not videos will know exactly what I'm talking about. There is an invisible hand that has rule or a lot of power over the earth right now, and people are very unaware. And I think the story is just unbelievably bringing that out, and it's bringing it out in a story-like way, story for children, but for adults to understand and kind of decipher. At least that's what I think, in my opinion. Before I go on a little bit further, I think it's important to say also that I think this particular series, this saga, is a prime example that not all of Hollywood is cinema-based. I think Jim Henson Productions, because Jim Henson is no longer alive, I think his son and his family are continuing his creativity with, you know, and that's why they continue to call it Jim Henson Productions. But I think they know what's going on. They know the real story behind what is going on Earth, and they kind of are just portraying it in the story. I also believe that this is trying to educate the masses and hopefully reaching a younger audience, you know, with the puppetry and the creativity and just luring people who love sci-fi. But alrighty, let's begin with the first set of characters that are the most important in the series, which are the Skeksis. Now, the Skeksis are the psychopaths, which pretty much rule the world of Thra. That is what the planet is called. They're the Gelfling, where the Gelflings live. And there are 7 races of Gelflings. But I'm going to go through the Skeksis races first. So we have Skekso. He's the Emperor. He's the leader, the ruler of Thra. He is the embodiment of royalty around the world, which is what I think he represents. You have Skekzak. He's a ritual master, priest of the Ceremony of the Sun. Sound familiar? Ceremony of the Sun. I'm pretty sure in one of our many, many different lovely cults we have on the planet, I'm pretty sure they have a Ceremony of the Sun. And again, if you've seen my Paranormal or Not series, you will know what the sun signifies for all those cults. And again, this just signifies satanic cults and the pedophile rings that encircle them. So we have Skekso. He is the Chamberlain. So he is like the Emperor, chief advisor, second in line for the throne to the Emperor. And he represents, to me, corrupt clergy. We have Skektek, the scientist who uses the crystal for experiments. He's kind of like a Mengele type. We have Skeklak, the collector. He collects tributes from Gelflings And for me, Skeklak represents the corrupt government powers that rule us. Skekvar, he's a general, he's quick-tempered, most loyal to Emperor, and for me, he represents the non-questioning military power we have on this planet. Then we have Skekayuk, he's the gourmand, organizer of banquets, and for me, he represents the gluttony and the privilege of the powerful people here on Earth. And now, I'm gonna go to the two exceptions. There is Urva, he is the archer, and he is, I believe, the opposite of Skekmal. He is basically the Skeksis when they first came, or when they first got to the planet of Thra, they were one being. And Thra was a mystical place. It was a planet much like Earth, joyous, happy, and it wasn't perfect, but it, Earth was beautiful before the alien races came. So same with Thra. Thra was a beautiful, happy place before the Skeksis arrived. Now when the Skeksis arrived, they were not evil. They were called the Urkskeks. Now the Urkskeks were one being. They were, of the universe. They were not of Thra. So they were curious, and they came down to Thra just out of curiosity, and they wanted to share their knowledge and joy. And they did that. They saw that the crystal, there's a big crystal, it's the crystal of truth that emanated on Thra, that came from Thra, that was created by the planet, and kind of is holding this planet together, and it exudes energy. So it feeds the planet, thereby feeding the people and keeping the planet safe and healthy. And when the Urkskeks saw this crystal, they were very interested. They started experimenting with it, and they started doing things they shouldn't have been doing to begin with. So that darkened the crystal, and one of their experiments caused a horrible catastrophe, splitting the Urkskeks into two. So it's like one being in two bodies. They make the Skeksis and they make the Mystics. So back to Urva. Urva is the arch mystic, and his bad counterpart is Skekmal. Skekmal is a psycho warrior who kills, and whatever he kills, he takes as a trophy. Now Urgo, he's a wonder. He's also a mystic. His good counterpart is the heretic Skegra. Skegra is Skeksis, but he's actually a good Skeksis. They're actually together. So the mystics went into hiding because when they parted, the Skeksis and the mystics just no longer got along. So the mystics are in hiding, and the Skeksis are the ones that rule the planet. Okay, I hope that wasn't too much information, but I think that's the most that you will need to understand, if you start watching the series. Maybe if you watch it, some of this will come back to you. Now let's go to the good side of Thra, which are the Gelfling. So there are 7 clans of Gelfling. You really don't need to know all the clans, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to tell you each clan. There's the Vapra. They're the most cultural. You've got the Stonewood clan. They're the warriors. They fight. They make weapons. You have the Groton that live underground in caves. You have the Sephia, the Drenchen, the Dusan, and the Spartans. And they don't really elaborate too much on the other clans. The 3 clans that you will need to remember are the Vapra, the Stonewood clan, and the Groton clan, because those are the main clans that are really fighting the hardest to, get the Gelflings their freedom. Now we come to Aughra. Aughra was the guardian of the Crystal of Thra. Now Aughra to me is more Jesus-like. She spread the word of Thra. She was Thra. She was the embodiment of the planet. She's the keeper of all things mysterious, and also embodies all races and genders. Like I said, for me, she's like a Jesus type. She knew the crystal was the heart of Thra. The Skeksis, when they came down, like I said, they were Urkskeks, and they convinced her that the universe was a place that she wanted to visit and learn from. And Aughra, being the mystic that she was, and being just curious about what was out there, like we all are, her presence, her spirit, they built her this huge, I want to say it was almost like a building. It was a place where she could go and see the stars, study the stars, and just engulf herself in the universe. And they built her this spot and gave her all the information she needed to be able to get her consciousness out into the universe. They also helped her with that too. Aughra, not knowing any better and trusting Skeksis, because I believe they were Urkskeks at the time that she left the planet, in their care because she was coming back. But as you know, when we travel into space, an hour could be 20 years. So she left pretty much 4,000 years and didn't realize it. And the Skeksis just, they create havoc. That's when they separated. The Urpskeks separated, creating the Skeksis and the Mystics, and they just pretty much screwed up the rock. And she also resurrects within the series. So that's another thing that makes me very, very much 100% sure that she is representing Jesus in this series. When I also think that when she leaves, that signifies the human. Obviously, the Adam and Eve story, when the humans just kind of separated from God. I believe that when she leaves the planet of Thra, that was indication of how we separated from the goodness that connected us with our consciousness and the master, that being created our consciousness, and that's when everything goes to shit. So let's go back to the Gelfling. Now, the main characters that you will be seeing if you do watch the series, the first one you see is, she is the Queen of the Crystal Castle. She is the All-Maudra Myron, and she is played by Helena Bonham Carter. I'm not going to go into all the stars that are in this series, but there are quite a few. You will recognize Sigourney Weaver as the narrator, so I don't know, maybe that'll get you itching to watch it. But yeah, the All-Maudra is played by Helena Bonham Carter. She is from the Vaprin clan. She is ruler of the 7 clans as elected by the Skeksis, the embodiment of royalty around the world on Earth. She is ruling at a time of great change. In an age when her daughters were younger, she was a good queen, but with the Skeksis pulling her strings and making all the laws through her for many, many years, like over 1,000 years. Not only through her, but through many All-Maudras, because obviously the Gelflings aren't eternal. She has become cold and calculated as they are. She rules with clouded judgment and without knowledge. And Gelfling, which in their language is Gel Inlankok, those who live without knowledge of the future. So again, very representative of people from Earth. We live blinded. We live without knowing what the hell is really going on this planet. Just wanted to make that very clear. Now, the All-Maudra's daughter, she has 3 daughters. One is Celadon, she's the oldest. Tavra, she's the warrior princess. And Brea, the youngest, which I think I tried to look like a little bit. If you see the series, you'll know what I mean. Now, Rian, he is also a Gelfling. He's a Crystal Castle guard of the Stonewood clan. He is a witness to the murder of his girlfriend Mira by the Skeksis. So he accidentally, the Gelfling are just a lovely little sprightly race. And he has a girlfriend in the castle. She's also a guard. And they are very curious about what's going on. They stumble into a place in the castle where they shouldn't have gone. At least Mira does, because the Gelfling girls have wings. So she flies down to where she shouldn't have been. And in experimenting so much with the crystal, one of the experimenters, he's like a mad scientist, he figures out, because of the fact that the Skeksis have been draining the crystal of all its power, it no longer gives them anything to sustain themselves with. That's why they've been able to live so long. They figured out that if they take a creature, put it in front of the crystal, it'll drain their essence. And they can pull that essence from them and drink it and stay alive longer, and it rejuvenates them. And that particular thing right there, what I've just told you about the crystal pulling the essence from that being, that represents to me all the satanic cults around the world who take young children and kill them. Because believe it or not, the satanic cults do have rituals with children at the center of them to rejuvenate the old satanic cult members, especially the higher echelon and elite members, which the Skeksis, all of them, because there's not a lot of them, all of them are of the elite in some fashion. So I thought that represented that very, very well. So yeah, he watches her die, and the Gelfling, if I didn't say this before, they share consciousness. They're able to do something that's called dream fasting. So they kind of put their hands together and they dream fast, and they can share, instead of me telling you the story, if you were in front of me, I would put my hand up with your hand and I could just show you what I mean. So much faster, so much better. And believe it or not, people of the earth were that way. I think that's why we feel so isolated and alone, and We go on Bumble and Tinder and whatever other dating app there is to try to connect. We connected in that way, like the Gelf, maybe not exactly like the Gelfling did, but our consciousness was able to connect just like that. And they didn't take that away from the Gelflings. The Gelflings are still able to dream fast. So when the Skeksis killed Rianne's girlfriend, Mira, that started the whole debacle, and it starts the story on a journey with these two characters that I'm going to introduce right now. So Deet, she's a very sweet Gelfling. She's an animal caretaker of the Groton clan, and she falls into Rianne's path because she's very connected with the earth, as we should be. Deet is representative of how the people of Earth once knew how connected to the earth we are, because we really are connected to the earth. We truly, truly are. And a lot of people just don't believe that. I mean, God forbid you get a piece of dirt on their shoe and they go bananas. But anyway, that's what Deet represents, and she falls across Rianne during the story. Then we have Hub. He is a podling. The podlings are so cute. They are adorable. They're just like comic relief in the series, I think. His name is Hub, and he's a friend in the world, and he likes Deet. So his little girlfriend Deet with his wooden spoon. He wants to be, you know, a guard for the Almodra, the city they're going to. But yeah, you'll see if you see the series. Believe me, there's so much to remember. So Freya, Rianne, Deet, and Hub are the unsuspecting heroes who are thrown into a harrowing adventure to save the Dark Crystal. And for me, the Dark Crystal are the lost souls of humanity. And Thra is Earth, the home of humanity. And the Gelflings, well, they're us. So this is completely my own conspiracy theory. I didn't look to see if there were any others out there in the world of YouTube. So with this particular, saga, I didn't want to compromise my views in what I think the series stood for, so I didn't bother to look to see if there were any others. But how can I say this? Okay, let me start again. I'm trying to say too much, and I'm trying to look at my notes. How can I say this? Okay, let me start again. I'm trying to say too much, and I'm trying to look at my notes because I don't want to. Okay, so technical difficulties as usual. So I'm going to start this little part over again. I'm coming to the end of my conspiracy theory. Hopefully, I kind of touched on everything I need to touch. You fans, you diehard fans, if I'm wrong, sound off below, correct me. I would love to have a conversation about the series because I love it so much. Okay, so this is completely my own conspiracy theory. I didn't look to see if there were any others out there on this particular saga because I didn't want to compromise my views in what I think the saga should stand for. In the end, this story portrays that good will win, albeit after a huge loss. But the message we can take away from the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance is that eventually illiteracy, suppression, oppression, domination, cruelty, slavery can only last so long. Evil crumbles in on itself, eventually revealing its ugly, merciless face to those who have been asleep for far too long. And good always wins. Now with that, I know I read it, I know it's kind of hard, I want to look at you and say these things, but I really wanted to get that out. I think in a nutshell, I believe that good always wins. We can win the fight, but we have to unite, we have to be informed, we have to get educated, and I think that Jim Henson Productions, in their own way, just gave us what humanity is pretty much going through. And they did it in the sweetest, most wonderful way that you could ever possibly do it, and through Hollywood. Who'da thunk it? So anyway, this is the end of my video. I want to say I love this movie, and I want to thank Jim Henson and his production team. I still remember watching Jim Henson, the real Jim Henson, with, on The Muppet Show with Kermit the Frog, who is my all-time favorite. I have Kermit. I couldn't find him, or else I would have popped him in this video. But yeah, guys, this is the end of my video. Make good conspiracy watching decisions. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!